What's going on, everybody? This is Austin from the Bare Maximum Project. I'm so glad that you checked us out today. We're going to be talking about how COVID-19 has affected our relationships and our marriages, with so many people deciding to call it quits, having been locked together for so long. So we're going to show you how you can avoid that in your relationship right here. Stay tuned. Having to totally adjust your way of life is hard enough in a marriage, let alone having to go outside in a hazmat suit every time you leave the house. But sometimes when you're together a lot more frequently than you usually are, it can lead to a lot of friction because, as they say, familiarity breeds contempt. So, if you're like me and you really want to make sure that your relationship doesn't go under during the pandemic, here's the first tip on how to make sure that doesn't happen. Number one, find a way to take a break from each other. When you're locked in the house together all the time, you start to notice little things that you really can't stand about your partner. But these are the times where it's like, you know what? Let me step away for a second, take a break, and come back to you later because you and me, we ain't really here right now. So let's not do this. And since the pandemic started, this is something that my wife and I have had to do all the time. It's like, you know what? You kind of pissing me off right now. I'm going to step away so I can avoid saying something that I really shouldn't be saying to you right now. So this is something you want to keep in mind, because there are times where we say things and you cannot grab those words back. So when you feel that urge to say something crazy, step away, think for a second, and then come back later. Take a break. Gentlemen, I know she hasn't been acting too sexy these days. Hello! But how can she whenever y'all can't really go anywhere? So now's the time to step up and start appreciating things about her. Ladies, I know he ain't exactly been Prince Charming lately, and he has been pretty forgetful. But now is not the time for you to be going off on him for him getting 2% milk instead of the fat-free milk at the grocery store.
You done insulted me, and I got to kick your ass right now.
These little micro arguments or whatever, these can really add up over time. So when you feel yourself making that urge to criticize, step away and think about things you appreciate about the person that you love. Next, I got a question for you. What is the game that all married couples play at some point in their relationship? I'll give you a hint. It ain't Twister. It's the game that we all play, but nobody ever really wins. It's called the Who Gets to Be More Tired game. This is the game where everybody who plays ends up feeling undervalued, disrespected, and unappreciated. Do not play this game. Now is not the time for you to crap all over how the other person does not get to be tired. Guess what? You're both tired. Get over it. It is what it is. Don't compare. This situation requires both empathy and compassion from both of you guys, because when somebody immediately comes and craps all over how tired you are, it's going to put your guard up and make you upset.
Oh, you want to fight? You want to fight?
The last thing that you want to do is play the I'm most tired game. Nobody wins. Don't do it. Now, this next point is for the people with kids, so just hang with me for a minute, all right? We all love our kids, at least some of the time, right? But every now and again, we all wish that these little attention-seeking crumb snatchers would leave us alone, right? And since the pandemic is kind of limiting options for date night, you got to get a little bit more creative here. This is where you have to really make it a priority to sneak date. Now, what I mean by sneak dating is really not the bells and whistles, filet mignon, and escargot kind of date that I'm talking about. This is going to be your simple things, your basics, like when the kids fall asleep, let's sneak out and go get some coffee. Let's go grab a drink from somewhere and bring it back to the garage and just sit in the garage and talk. Things like that. Let's dance around the living room. Little simple things that really don't require much effort or much money for that matter, if that's your concern. So think about that. Sneak dating is an excellent way to remind your partner, hey, I'm thinking about you, I love you, and I want to be with you. It doesn't take much. Just with the stresses of everyday life combined with raising kids or paying bills and the pandemic, it takes a toll on your relationship. And that's why dating is so important, because I'll speak for myself. It's easy to forget that, you were once so enamored with this person and then life kind of gets in the way. And so you want to make sure that you kind of push life out of the way for a second to remind this person that they're still the most important person in your universe, and that they always remember that, even if it's something as cheap as going to get $1 apple pie from McDonald's. Sorry, you didn't hear that from me. And if you're nice, sneak dating might hopefully lead to something else a little bit later, but we'll get to that soon. Now, this next part is of the utmost importance, so I'm urging you to pay attention to this one, okay? Now, it's more important than ever for you guys to be working as a team, which is easier said than done because you have conflicting personalities sometimes. Sometimes we unknowingly and accidentally take on the mentality that it's us versus them, but it's not that way. You guys need to find a way to win together. You're a team. You got married as a team, so you need to live life as a team, especially during these times. Now, what this means is that each of you is going to have to take turns playing the role of leader and assistant. Now, the area of assistant does require a little bit of humility, so it's gonna hurt, and I'm not gonna lie to you. But each one of us has to do it in our relationship. Why? Because when you try to lead in an area that you don't know anything about, then the whole house goes to ruin. I've done this myself. So I really want you to avoid making that mistake, especially right now when you guys are pretty much stuck in the house together all the time. So learn how to take instruction, learn how to take constructive criticism. But when you're trying to lead in a certain area, learn how to criticize in the right way. Don't come off as being too aggressive or belittling or demeaning or any of these other things that might tear your partner down. You want to try to build them up so you guys can shine together. Y'all in this together, man. That's how you're supposed to do it. So try to keep that on your mind whenever you're trying to think about how you guys function as a unit. But a disclaimer, this is not the time to point out your partner's weaknesses. This is a time for you guys to recognize them as areas of opportunity for you to love each other through. For example, one of you guys might be great at cooking, but you might suck whenever it comes to balancing a checkbook. This is where you want to lead the other person, but not belittle them. The point is, when you're working as a team, you're supposed to be complimenting each other, not tearing each other down. Just a quick recap of what's going on. You guys are taking breaks when you need to. You're not playing the who gets to be most tired game. You're working as a team, and you're sneak dating. Now there's one more thing that you guys have to do in order to make your marriage COVID proof. And for that, we're going to need the kids to step out of the rooms because this is going to be 18 and over, so I'll give you a second.
3 days later.
Now that we got that out of the way, let's continue. Two major things in marriage often uncovered all underlying issues: money and sex. With us all being locked down for a little while, there's ample opportunities for us to sneak away and visit the Boom Boom Room.
You talking about the Boom Boom Room?
Not visiting the Boom Boom Room often enough is a pretty big cause for divorce. Now, we've all had those times of famine in our relationship where it comes to intimacy. Some times are long, some droughts are really long. But now is as good a time as any to work on that. Think about how you guys got here. What events have led up to this? Are there any unhealed issues that have gone on for too long? Are there things that you guys need to fight about and fix it and then move forward in order for you guys to get back to the Boom Boom Room? Because all this stuff is important. It affects one another. It's a vicious cycle. So it's time to break the cycle today. And then once you actually get there, make it a point to enjoy one another. Be in the moment. Let all the stresses and strains and all the negative news that we've been enduring in 2020, leave all that stuff outside the room because it doesn't have any place there. Anyway, as much as COVID has completely shaken our lives up, there are ways for us to make the most of it and take opportunities that come out of it. I strongly believe that there's nothing too bad that you cannot come back from. And marriage does get pretty bad sometimes. You guys chose to take this leap together, so you guys come through it together. You can do this. You can make it. I would love to hear some of your success stories in the comments. Please, please, please let me know what's going on. Next time, we're going to be discussing on how to parent during the COVID-19 pandemic. So be sure to click that subscribe button so that way you know when that video comes out. I will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Bare Maximum Project. Take care.